Greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's symposium on learning design. My name is Brandon Anderson. I'm a learning design specialist and CEO of the Learning Design Simplified consulting firm. I'm here today to present some interesting information about the future of learning analytics and current trends. I'll also share with you my framework for learning design of the future. I believe in creating personalized, learner-centered online learning experiences that empowers and motivates learners to engage in an effective, meaningful, and one-of-a-kind learning experience. Today's presentation will follow this format. We'll begin with an introduction to the topic. Then, we will discuss 3 emerging trends in learning analytics with a literature review. We will then direct our focus to some of the existing models and their business and education applications. I'll round out the presentation with a look at my professional learning design framework for the future as well as a conclusion. We'll have a few minutes at the close of the presentation for questions, so please, if you have questions, save them for the Q&A session. As a learning designer, it is critical to harness the power of learning analytics and embrace the future of the vast capabilities. Given the number of applications for data analytics in the online learning design movement, we see forward thinking regarding the quality and versatility and the capabilities learning designers integrate in the design process. When considering current and future trends in learning analytics, there is a vast spectrum of opportunities on the horizon. In their work titled Learning Analytics for 21st Century Competencies, Shum and Crick propose that learning analytics approaches in general offer different kinds of computational support for tracking learner behavior, managing educational data, visualizing patterns, and providing rapid feedback to both educators and learners. Current application of analytical models yields a more efficient and effective instructional outlook on 21st century competencies needed for learning success. Their work further asserts the idea that learning analytics is an emerging field, powered by the paradigm shifts of the information age. Given this background as a springboard for future considerations, I want to focus on 3 trending areas in learning analytics. Looking forward toward the future of learning design, we can expect to see a greater incorporation of big data analytics, blended e-learning, and social learning analytics. There are many trends in learning analytics. However, I would like to highlight 3 of the major trending topics that stood out and supported my framework for learning design of the future. Now let's take a deeper dive into the big 3 learning analytics trends of the present and future. First, we will discuss big data analytics, followed by blended e-learning, and finally social learning analytics. Over the years, learning designers have developed tactical methods for continual design improvement using big data as the driving source. In particular, the incorporation of adaptive learning, machine learning, and predictive analytic techniques have proven to be effective design tools. On the horizon, there are growing learning opportunities in the area of big data analytics. In a review of the article Big Data Analytics, the Next Big Learning Opportunity, Henry and Venkataraman proclaimed that students must be prepared to take advantage of future opportunities in the field of big data analytics. This argument is that as this is such a growing area, the big data analytics curriculum must be incorporated into the business skill sets and course design competencies of the 21st century. I concur with this notion as businesses and organizations are shifting to rely heavily on big data analytics to solve many of their problems. As potential feeders, colleges and universities will need to prepare learners in incorporating data analytics as core courses for business and other relevant programs that are increasingly using these methods. The authors go further to add that with the initiation of real-time big data from sources such as web data, customer data, operational data, machine data, and so forth, managers are adept to using a data-driven tool to promote smarter decision-making processes. As a trend, there is a positive outlook of career opportunities in the data analytics field, as there is a true shortage of skilled personnel to do this type of work. To address the skills gap, the authors further assert that educators can prepare to design a curriculum that meets the demands of the current and future workforce. Another trend in learning analytics is blended e-learning. This field is still growing, and various new methods of merged online learning have evolved due to the advent of learning analytics. Gone are the days of the sole brick-and-mortar classroom environment, and more common is the learning community infusion of the physical and virtual realm. Shigeza and Halbert points out that the adoption of blended learning, a combination of traditional face-to-face and technology-mediated instruction, is increasing in higher education around the world, with some scholars predicting that blended learning will become the new traditional model. A product of learning analytics, the aim of this redesign was to enhance teaching and e-learning approaches for flexible and inclusive learning, extend access and address efficiency of delivering the subject. As a continuing student myself, I've witnessed the shift over the past 10 years and have contributed to a number of data-driven analytical models designed to restructure and effect a more learner-centered approach to course delivery. At the center of this trend, adaptive learning techniques and technologies drive a mix of approaches and theories to create a balanced format for learners with varying learning styles. The authors further assert that blended learning models, when designed and implemented successfully, enable students to travel to campus for some activities while using the network for others, taking advantage of the best of both environments. Through committed engagement in blended learning environments, learners leap a progressively clear trail of analytics data that can be mined for insights. In preparation for real-world skills and situations, hybrid and blended learning platforms tend to allow more autonomy and interactions amongst peers and promote collaboration. The third trend of focus is the popular area of social learning analytics. This analytical model supports active learning in widely recognized open and social learning environments. Institutions of higher learners are gaining insight to developing learning opportunities that incorporate social learning analytics into the curriculum. In the article, Social Learning Analytics, Navigating the Changing Settings of Higher Education, Latin Princeton asserts that pedagogical designs are evolving towards providing open access, promoting network social activities, and linking education with professional learning communities and lifelong learning to provide their students with broader opportunities to access social capital. As technology has changed the way we communicate within the learning and business community, it has become a strong driver for fostering learning behavior changes. The authors further state that though social learning analytics based on data about student movements, we might be able to provide a better insight in the social dynamics and network learning opportunities that higher education social hubs and sticky campuses have to offer. Whether we realize it or not, through social networking, we're learning quite a bit from peers, experts, and professionals bringing the world closer. On this slide, I've provided an overview of practical uses for the listed analytical models as they are used in the business and education industry. Now, as learning designer, I've crafted an innovative framework for my design product for the future. With adult learning as the focus, I've created a dynamic framework for the future of learning design. This image depicts my innovative learning design framework based on the learning analytical models discussed earlier. In order to create innovative personalized learning environments for adults, I've designed this system with 5 subcomponents that encourage a learner-centered design for the future. Business Insider magazine reported on 13 of the most innovative schools in the world and gave an overview of their practices and philosophies. In developing my framework, I thought about key elements that stood out to me from the article and infused a few to create a design that would apply to the future of adult learning. My overall learning design is made up of the following components. The first is data discourse analytics. Here we represent discourse analytics by big picture learning and IDP, individual development plan learning. To address this discourse learning analytic approach, a combination of the big picture learning and individual development plan promote the human behavior-based attitudes and ways of thinking. Here we see adaptive models and social networking analytics. It's represented by project-based learning and technology skills. To address the adaptive social networking analytics model, A combination of the project-based learning and the technological skill building promote knowledge transfer. We move over to predictive models, which is represented in between the IDP and time restriction limitations. To address the predictive model, a combination of the IDP format and the time restriction limitation rule promote learner success. Finally, to represent machine learning, we have technology skills and time restricted limitations. To address the machine learning model, a combination of the technology skills component and the time restriction limitation rule promote 21st century skill building. In conclusion, the future of learning design is a very worthwhile industry given the incorporation and the use of popular trends in learning analytics. Big data analytics, blended e-learning, and social learning analytics are major trends and drivers for the future of learning design. Planning, implementing, and revising online learning experiences based on the analytical models helps to promote student success and better prepare students to meet career goals of the future. It is my belief that the proposed innovative framework for learning design encompasses the necessary components for success in adult learning of the future. At this point, I would like to entertain any questions from the audience members. Since there are no questions, I want to thank you all for your time today. I've posted here my contact information if you should need to reach out to me for business needs or to partner for future projects. Thank you.